Now let's take a look at lights in 3ds Max. Now there are two main types of lights, standard and photometric. Now we can get to lights by going into the creation panel and clicking on this light bulb icon, and you can see that we have photometric, which is usually the default, or standard. And then under create, under lights, you can see that we also have photometric and standard lights, along with a daylight system as well, but we're just going to focus on lights. Now let's take a look at standard lights first, and then we'll move on to photometric. As you can see, we have a number of different types of lights that we can create, but a lot of these are actually similar. So we have a target spot and a free spot, which are basically the same type of light, except one has a target. The same goes for target direct and free direct. They're both the same type of light, and one just has a target and the other one doesn't. We also have Omni, Skylight, as well as some Mental Ray specific lights, such as Mental Ray Area Omni and Area Spot. Now let's start off with a spotlight. I'm going to choose the target spot. And let's go ahead and actually I'm going to go out to a 4 view here. And I'm going to go into my left view, and I'm just going to click and drag. And just like with the camera, we get a target that this light points at. When I select it, it creates the light. Now, if we want to see the actual lighting in the scene, all we have to do is just go into our scene and turn on high quality. And then if we want to see stuff like shadows, we can just make sure that we turn those on as well. Now, as you can see, we can move this light. Just like with cameras, it's always pointed at the target. Now, the free spot is basically the same as the camera in that it doesn't have a target. Now, if we want to modify this light, we can turn on or off that target, and we can move it by itself, or we can turn on the target and just move the light, and it will always be pointed at that target. Now, this is a spotlight, and we can affect a number of different attributes about this. We can affect the intensity. We can affect spotlight-specific parameters, such as how wide or narrow that beam is. So if you notice here, we have a hot spot and a fall off. So I can either narrow or widen both the beam and the fall off to get kind of a soft edge on that as well. And I can also turn this into a rectangular light, and so this kind of simulates what you would get with barn doors. And when you do rectangular lights, you can actually change the aspect ratio. Now, in addition to this, we have advanced effects, shadow parameters, and so on. Now, I just want to go through the basic types of lights. So let's go ahead and create a target direct light. So I'm going to, just like with the spotlight, left click and drag, and you can see how I'm getting this spot here. And the target direct is similar to a spotlight in that it illuminates only an area, but is different than a spotlight in that it is cylindrically shaped rather than cone shaped. So the rays of the light are always parallel. Now, once we've created the light, we can go into our modify panel, and again, we can change our multiplier to increase the intensity if we need to. And then we can go down to directional parameters, and we can increase the size of our fall off as well as our hotspot. So again, this is very similar to a spotlight, except again, the rays are parallel. And we can also do a rectangular light to simulate barn doors as well. So I'm going to select this and delete it. Let's go back to our create panel. The next type of light is called the Omni light. Now, an Omni light is basically the bare light bulb in the room. So when we have an Omni light, you can see how this light just creates light from all directions. So if I were to put this close to the floor, you can see how it creates that light. So it's a light source that goes in all directions. Now again, just like with any other type of light, we can turn on shadows. We can also change our intensity and then move on to things such as advanced effects. And finally, we have what's called the skylight. Now, a skylight is kind of more of a general light in the scene. Now, a skylight is basically just a general cast of light in the scene, and it creates kind of a diffuse ambient lighting. And a lot of times you won't really see it so much in the viewport, but you'll see it a little bit more in the renderer. So as you can see, it's kind of more of an ambient light, but it is directional, and it will create a very soft effect. Now, this light should be used in conjunction with other lights. So as you can see, 3ds Max has a number of standard lights that you can use to light your scene.